In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Ooh, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be really pissed. I don't even want to thank the Rock Rice Hogs. Sorry, guys. Alex, if you could sum up your feelings right now in one word, what would it be?
Numb. I feel nothing. I feel nothing. And you know what? It's a good thing I took work off tomorrow. I took it off a few days ago. I didn't really have a reason. A few weeks ago, I was looking at the rest of the year and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get together the rest of my POT. So I took out some spread out days throughout the rest of the year. So tomorrow just happened to be one of them. It's a good thing because I'm drinking tonight and I'm already started. It took me maybe 10 minutes to finally move one fiber of my being. Not even a twitch, not even a lift, not even a blink. Just for about 10 straight minutes. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just sat there like a statue. And everything that went wrong in this game, every bad play call, every bad penalty, every missed throw by Caleb Williams, every collapse on the offensive line, every injury, all of that was about to be wiped away. And what would have felt great while you're battling in the NFC North where everybody's 5-2 or better, and you were about to be right there with them. And in just one stroke of misfortune, all out the window. Everything that you redeemed, all out the window. A game you didn't deserve, but were right there to steal it. And you saw promise from Caleb Williams towards the end, making some plays and getting them in position. And just like that, in a puff of smoke, gone.
I just don't have words anymore. I mean, I called it. I when I saw the touchdown, I saw oh, hey, there's like no time left. And I'm like, they're they're totally gonna they're totally going to score here, aren't they? They're totally gonna score. And sure enough, I was expecting a field goal to tie that game, but I was not expecting there to be uh the Hail Mary completion. And I just have a lot of questions about what the hell is happening with the Bears organization and the coaching staff. But the first one that's coming to my mind here is why, when you know there's going to be a Hail Mary, because it's all that they can do, there's not enough time for them to go down and kick a field goal. So it has to be a Hail Mary.
Right.
Why is Roma Dunze not out there? Why is the tallest best hands guy on your team out there, your best jump ball man? Why is he not out there? Just jump ball that. He goes over the top of everybody and just bump it out of bounds. Impossible to catch it. No tipping it. Just straight up volleyball spike that thing out of bounds and the game is over. Why is Roma Dunze not out there? Every other team is, you put in You put in a guy that can jump high, that's got good hands. Like you put those guys out there. Every coach does that. Why don't the Bears have that in their repertoire? Oh, hey, Hail Mary. All right, let's put our best 50-50 jump ball guy out there. What I like you have guys that are 5'10" out there to do a jump ball and the ball just gets tipped out of their hands. Put the guy that's 6'3" out there that jumps higher than all of them and let him win that jump ball battle where he doesn't have to catch it. He's just got to knock it to the ground, fling it out of bounds, whatever he has to do, just end that.
And you know what? I know a lot of people are looking at the replay, and it does look like there was a hold on that
Oh yeah.
play. There was absolutely a hold, but
There,
even so, even so, you
it
got to
shouldn't
knock
matter.
that down.
It shouldn't have mattered.
No,
It
it shouldn't have
should not.
mattered. Because, Sean, let's be real. A lot of those holds, blindside blocks, whatever, they don't get called on Hail Marys.
No, they
They
don't.
just don't.
So,
I mean, the chances of completing a Hail Mary like that are the ball wasn't even in the end zone. It was tipped in front of it.
I
The
just
initial contact was in front of the end zone.
yeah. So even if somebody catches it on the single without being tipped, it's short and the game is over. It's just it's like they don't practice this. It's like they don't practice this, which goes to my point of Matt Eberflus is awful as a head coach. He does not have these players ready to go ever, ever.
Well, and you know what? Maybe this is fate's way of saying you didn't deserve to win this game because this could have been a blowout loss.
Oh yeah,
Easily could have been a blowout loss.
yeah. I mean, the had you won this game, I would not have been a happy win. It would have been a whew, dodged a bullet, whatever. But it
But
would
you
not have.
take every win, especially with a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't feel good about that win. You just feel like, oh, thank goodness. But you, um, you would have come away with the victory, but you snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. It's what you did.
It's like there was an alligator where you snatched victory out of it, and there was a bigger alligator that ate you.
Uh, because you were poorly planned and didn't realize there was two alligators.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could have been down 21 nothing right off the bat easily. Your defense made some plays. They made some mistakes on their end. They were really, really close from getting a touchdown. I think wasn't it to Ertz, and it just they didn't rule it a catch. It was too close to overturn. Your defense, your defense played very well today. And you were shorthanded. You were banged up. You didn't have Brisker. You didn't have Gordon. Gordon right now is probably one of your top five defenders. I mean, the way he's all over the ball, you didn't have him, and you kept them from them letting the game get out of hand. You kept it from that. But how many dumb penalties did we have today on offense?
A
How
lot,
many?
a lot.
That's on coaching.
This this coaching staff is dog shit tacos. Uh, and they can't be the coaches next year. Like this coaching staff just has to be gone. Has to be. This cannot continue. Otherwise, otherwise, uh, Ryan Poles needs to be fired. Is if Ryan Poles is like, I'm going to stick with Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron, then he needs to be taken out back and shot too. I, he has done some. Ryan Poles has done some good things, but man, he he has been awful at bringing an offensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean,
You're like,
There was a lot of pockets collapsing today.
I want to make this as soft a landing as possible for our rookie quarterback. We're going to give him weapons, and we're gonna work with him and do all these things and bring him in and teaching offensive coordinator. And we're going to bring, you know, you didn't give him an offensive line. I don't. You had no tight end uh play in. Where was Cole Kmet in this offense? Like, I don't understand. There's just so many questions here. You you come out you come out and just play poor right out of the gate, and you finish it all the way till almost the very end. You you can't do that. I, you can't just give up halves. These games in the NFL are way too close. There's too much parity for you just to be like, you know what? Well, we'll just play awful in the first half and come out in the second half and do okay. Like you played a mediocre Washington team today, and they looked light years ahead of you. And the score may not have indicated it, but they dominated you.
They did. They controlled possession. They controlled the game. When you went into halftime 9-0, you felt like it was a goddamn miracle. And the door was open the entire way. Honestly, at this point, I would have rather have lost 12-7. You could have said, we played like shit, and that's what we got to say. But no, let's rally, look like we're going to pull out something by our own miracle, and then lose like that. I mean, because you cannot look at this game and excuse any of the bad that happened from a coaching standpoint, from a scheme standpoint. Why are you using your linemen to run when you know Swift and Johnson can get into the end zone just fine? And you know what? That looked like that was at the moment going to be the play everyone was talking about how you lost this game. Well, guess what? We're going to make it even worse. By the way, I'm downing some Captain Morgan apple. So apple rum by Captain Morgan. And like I said, since I ain't working tomorrow, it's down the hatch.
I hope it is delicious for you.
Oh, it tastes like salty tears, but I do like this rum very much. It's I like Captain Morgan in general, but this apple is very, very good. So I like the taste, but the reason I'm drinking it is not why I was hoping that this would be a nice victory beer, or even, hey, a nice little victory rum cocktail. But no, it's a fuck my life cocktail. Mazel tov, Bears.
I just don't understand is that your offensive line is terrible, which is on the GM. Your offensive scheme is terrible. Like, we see there are better offensive skill players on the Bears than Washington, but they brought in an innovative offensive coordinator, and guess what? He's doing things to give his young quarterback the best opportunity. And Jaden Daniels is looking really good in that system. The Bears are handcuffing, and I'm there's gonna be criticism here of Caleb in a second, but you're not putting him in position when there's no pocket to step up in. You're not rolling him out. There's no pocket for him to step up in. So we get mad. We're like, you can't run backwards. Well, guess what? There's nowhere else to run. You got to run backwards because there's nowhere to step up into. I
Just wait till we play the NFC North.
Yeah. Detroit is going to put that cleat on our throats. They're not going to.
They look like Super Bowl favorites, man.
Oh man, they look good. They are just destroying teams. Like, there's no stopping that offense.
No, hey, they're like a JV team playing like the Pee Wee kids from across the street at the other park.
Yeah, and I don't know. Is Green Bay still can't be too excited about Jordan Love, the guy that they're paying a ton of money to that leads the NFL in interceptions, even though he missed 2 games.
Well, and he's banged up a little bit too. So
But like that's a team. They have
they're yeah.
they bring in the worst quarterback in the NFL to as their backup quarterback. They bring him into a game and he comes in and wins them a game because they have a good offensive coach.
Yes, they do. I mean, Matt LaFleur is great. They have a good line. They win in the trenches. Something the Bears can't do offensively, that's for sure. I mean,
I,
everyone in the division has a better line than you, that's for sure.
oh,
That's for sure.
I mean, with you, there's a lot of positions where you could be like, arguably the Bears are first or second, and uh, there's some areas like defensive backs where Bears are hands down the best in the division. But you look at offensive line, and the Bears are so far in fourth that I don't think they can see who's third because they're so about far behind them. That's how bad the Bears' offensive line is compared to the offensive lines in the rest of the division.
Yeah.
It's but they don't do anything to try to combat that. They they had to bring in a rookie left tackle today, and he a lot of the game looked really lost, and that's on coaching. That's on GM. I you know I and then Caleb is missing throws like crazy, and I don't know if he's seeing ghosts, hearing footsteps, just the jitters. I don't know. He's shell shocked, but you know, the only thing I could say is in those last couple drives, he looked much better,
He
which
made
is
plays. He made plays what he looked like a number one overall pick would look like. The throw to DJ Moore, he was in the pocket under pressure. He got a few first downs. He connected with Roma Dunze. I mean, the first 3 quarters were brutal for Caleb Williams because there were some deep throws that weren't even anywhere near close, and even missing some of the short ones. And he wasn't taking some of the checkdowns, and the reads did not look as good. But when he finally started to figure out in the fourth quarter, and you also had the fact that DeAndre Swift was having a very, very good game. He's probably your player of the game. He had a really good game today. That got going. Once he started to make a few of those connections, it looked like he felt more confident in there. We could at least be talking about Caleb Williams manufacturing a game-winning drive. We could be talking about that right now, but
yeah.
we're not.
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do at the end, and he brought them to take the lead and get the 2-point conversion. That was a really nice 2-point conversion.
It was perfectly executed. I was elated when they got that.
I mean,
But that's so huge.
that was the most Patrick Mahomes play anybody but Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen has done in a while. That was a really nice play. And uh and you got to hand it to him. Caleb Williams got them to lead with just seconds left. And it's uh it that's is what it is. It's just so frustrating because um this division, I mean this schedule doesn't get any easier.
Nope. Nope. You needed that one. That
You
that is
really
a season-changing play.
Yep. You're officially done. There's no postseason for you. I know their record is not bad, but you're you fell behind in this division. You've got a winning record almost halfway through the season, and uh, you likely will have a winning record halfway through the season, but you're in the best division in football.
Well, you're certainly not going to win the division, nor are you going to probably get a top seed. I mean, if you do somehow, rally here and get enough wins, you're going to be a lower seed, which whatever. I mean, I don't even want to think about that right now, but either way, this is a season changing play because that Hail Mary doesn't happen. You're 5-2. Regardless of how bad you played, regardless of everything that happened, the fact of the matter is you're 5-2.
And with the Cardinals and the Patriots, the next two games, you could be 7-2, which you'd be a fraudulent 7-2. Like,
Doesn't matter.
no,
It
you're
doesn't
right.
matter.
It does not matter. Absolutely does not matter.
This isn't college football. This is the
Yeah.
NFL. All that matters is winning.
Yeah. So you potentially could be 7-2, but I retweeted somebody else that had an absolute point is watch the Bears lose this game, win the next two, we all feeling good, and then get destroyed by Green Bay.
Oh, yeah. We've seen that before. We've seen that plenty of times.
We've seen that plenty of times, and it's right on cue. It's I'm tired. Like we've got a John Madden or a Joe Madden type coach here where you're like, all right, he's not stupid, but he's like a rah-rah, guy. Maybe I want to bite your ankles guy.
Yes.
Maybe I want somebody that's going to throw something or scream at somebody or drop an F-bomb or whatever. I want somebody that's going to throw a clipboard and break an iPad. Like, show some emotion. When was the last time we had a head coach that showed emotion like that?
I mean, Nagy probably showed the most emotion, but not to like the extent you would see other coaches show emotion.
I mean, you look at the history of the Bears head coaches, and um, we've got Flus right now, who's just like guy, and Matt Nagy was the ultimate guy. I mean, there's a meme of it. John Fox was just
He was old.
he was just old. He
He was
was
just
like,
old.
yeah, so I don't even count him. Trestman wasn't one of those guys. Lovey definitely
God,
wasn't
no.
that guy. Dick Duran was another. So Wani would be the last guy, and Wani last coach here in the 90s.
Yep.
So we just need an ass kicker in there, and you know I want that guy that's just he's hard nosed. I don't like Eberflus is. Oh, all of our coaches are teachers. They're soft and gentle. I don't want soft and gentle. I want somebody that's going to go in there and kick your ass. I'm so over this. I'm so over this. I I I don't care if it takes flushing Ryan Poles down the drain with everybody else. I just want a winner in here. Just want a winner. And this is such a loser organization. Starts from the ownership down. And I'm not even gonna say Virginia because that lady's like 104. Like nobody's seen her in a couple of years. So we're gonna talk.
She's the figurehead at this point. I
Yeah,
mean, she doesn't make these decisions.
we're talking Georgie Porgy here. Um, it's so he's a loser, and then he hires losers. We can't get a new stadium. We've got a terrible stadium that nobody can get to because there's no public transportation that goes right to the stadium. And the roads in there to get in there are terrible. And you can't get a new stadium. You botched it. You botched that already. And you can't get a winning team in here. You had the number one overall pick where it was supposed to be a franchise changing player. And we saw some good things, but then he just absolutely regressed today. And I just can't take it anymore. I I I don't know how to deal with this. Like
I don't either. I
it's
don't.
it's it's just frustrating because it's the same thing over and over and over and over. We've had in your lifetime, how many seasons have the Bears have a good offense? One?
2013 is the one I could think of. The first year of Tressman
Yep,
when
that's it.
Josh
That's it.
McCown was in there for a bit, and they had Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall, and they still had Matt Forte.
That's it. That would be it. And that was literally the season I was thinking of. I just I, I how can one franchise just not figure out how to have an offense? I can't. I can't do it. I can't figure it out. I don't understand. It just
I,
hurts
I
my
have
soul.
I have nothing. Yeah, it's like I have nothing left to say. And Sean, think about it. What was my biggest knock against Eberflus last year? It was losing 3 historic games. And there's historic games, there's absurd games. They both fall under absurd. This isn't historic as in blowing a lead like some of those other games, but this is definitely in that absurd category. And yes, what did we do 2022 the first year? We let it go. That team wasn't good. They were tanking on purpose. They were stacking losses for a good draft pick. We know that. But the last 2 years, just these absurd losses. You know what? I want to say this too. A quick tangent, then we'll get back to it, and it'll kind of rope into some other things we're going to say. A quick tangent. Why do you think this hurts even more? Do you have any guess where I'm going with this? And if you don't, that's totally cool.
I mean, because we faced the number 2 overall pick and he outplayed our number 1 overall pick, and we had to listen to that
No,
all week.
no, I mean, that's part of it. And frankly, I'm not looking forward to seeing the replay of that Hail Mary over and over every day again until the end of time. I'm talking about this city as a sports fandom.
Oh yeah, we're just the losers.
The White Sox suck. The Bulls suck. The Blackhawks suck. The Cubs are mediocre. This this was supposed to be the possible redeeming entity. And sure, we've seen some promise this year. We're not going to take that away. But when you have these issues with the coaching and you lose a game like this in the tightest race you have ever seen in the NFC North, and we're not talking about some of those old days 10 years ago when like Aaron Rodgers was hurt and everybody else in the NFC North was bad. The Lions were bad, the Bears were bad, the Vikings were bad. We're not talking about that type of race. We're talking about the tight race where the Lions are the best team in football. The Minnesota Vikings got off to the best start in football. And the Green Bay Packers are still just winning, 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 winning. And here we are. Like, we want something to go right. Because you know what we're doing also right now while we're not watching football? We are sitting and we are watching the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees duke it out in the World Series. And every time Shohei Ohtani comes up, and Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts, and Juan Soto, and Giancarlo Stanton, and Aaron Judge, every time one of those guys come up, I snort thinking, we have 2 teams in this town, and none of them have guys like that. Of 2 teams in the 3rd largest market in sports, 2 teams combined don't have a single guy anywhere within the vicinity of those guys I just listed.
That, that,
Meanwhile, we can't
that
even watch the fucking games of our own hockey and basketball team.
I bought an antenna. I bought a, a ultra high def 86-inch television to watch the best clarity of sports, and I had to buy this, and we are just weeks away from it being the year 2025. I had to buy an antenna to be able to watch the Bulls and the Blackhawks play with an antenna. And I was texting with my friend Brad, who's just like, nah, I can now I'll wait for them to get a streaming app, not watching it. I'm like,
That
you could
me
just get it.
too.
I'm like, you could just get the antenna. And he's like, can I plug the antenna in my phone so I can watch it from my kids' hockey practice? It's like, fair enough. He's like, I I'm not watching these games. And and it's probably for the best because the Bulls and the Blackhawks both look bad.
The only thing worth watching on that network right now is Connor Bedard. That's about it. And sure, maybe Teuvo Teravainen is doing fine, and my man Kobe White is playing pretty well too on the Bulls, but they're not winning games. They're not winning
No.
games. You just wait till the White Sox come around.
It'll be
All
literally the worst sports on a sports network ever.
you don't you have three teams and not one is ready to win. By the way, I also saw a report too that the White Sox are looking for their manager, but they got quote budget constraints.
Yes. Yes. I definitely wanted to talk about the budget constraints.
This is where we are as a sports city, the third largest market in sports. The team right now that is the best track record of the current rosters is a team that in back-to-back years went 83 and 79 and missed the playoffs by a game in 2023. And as you watch Juan Soto, the Cubs ain't going to be involved in that.
No.
They're not.
You
When you
watch
saw when you saw Freddie Freeman hit a grand slam, wouldn't you want that on the Cubs?
there's
Oh, no,
there's
we don't get it.
five MVPs playing in this series.
This is a generational matchup. This World Series on paper is generational.
So I am 47 years old, and so this World Series features five current or former MVPs. In the rest of my lifetime, I have not seen four uh, MVPs in a series, let alone five. I, the last time there was four, I believe, was 1973 or 1971. It was the early 70s before I was born. So this is historic. These teams spent money and they're not perfect teams. The Dodgers have starting pitching woes. The the Yankees have some pitching problems, but like they just overcome it with absolute juice hitting the baseball out of the park.
We're lucky to have a 25 home run hitter.
Oh, I know. It Gary texted me during that one game and uh it was like, oh, he's like a guy that the White Sox gave up for cash considerations about to get the save. And then I just texted him back. I'm like, you sure about that? You sure about that? Uh God.
Yeah, you got some former Chicago baseball players on both teams. Obviously, you have Michael Kopech on the Dodgers. You have Carlos Rodon and Anthony Rizzo on the Yankees. Now, I Anthony Rizzo's obviously he won here. He was the glue that held that championship team in place. He was a great player. I'm rooting for him to do well, but it's like if you're a Sox fan, you got to be watching Michael Kopech throwing these high leverage innings on the highest stage, and he's blowing gas by guys 101 miles an hour, and you're like, holy shit, that's what we've been wanting to see.
Uh, I'm just, going back to the Bears, I'm just so frustrated and I have no idea what to expect. I expect probably a similar game this week as well, we'll next week is Arizona's a team that can put up some points. Kyler Murray is actually playing really well. He's a really mobile quarterback, but he's not injured. Um, but I'm just anticipating this similar thing is uh they have a worse running attack. So maybe if we can make them one dimensional, that we could try to do something. But um I just I'm just really frustrated with what's happening here. And I don't have high hopes for next week.
You know, I look at next week's matchup and it feels like such a coin toss because sometimes the Cardinals you watch them and you're like, "Oh, they look pretty good." And sometimes you watch them and you're like, "Ooh, that's not good." But regardless, that broadcast is going to start next week. And you're going to see the replay of that Hail Mary over and over and over and over. You're going to see it on every broadcast. You're going to see it all over social media. It is going to be everywhere.
Yep. It just it's just it's like the double doink. I can't watch it. It just makes me sick.
Yeah, you
Um,
know what? Did you see my one of my latest posts? I
no.
said the double doink, Randall Cobb week 17, now this. Now, obviously, people have pointed out the countless number of bad losses. I said yes, but look at this as a singular losing moment. You know, obviously, we lost the Super Bowl in 2006. There were a million things that went wrong. You lost the NFC Championship to the Packers in 2010. There were a million things that went wrong. In all those historic losses, every painful loss, like there, but these stand out. Is that single moment where the Packers and the Vikings and the Lions fans are going to get those gifts and they're going to quote tweet you and quote at you and reply to you with that gif over and over and over, just like the Cody Parkey. You're going to see that image of Tyreek Stevenson just not knocking the ball down or knocking it to the side. You're going to see that over and over and over again.
I just
I'm still in shock.
I it's just so frustrating. And I was watching on YouTube TV, which is so I just start getting text messages blowing up, and I was like, "What do you mean they lost? What?" So I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming with those seconds left, and I'm just sitting and watching, going, "Maybe it won't now. Maybe it won't. Maybe they're all lying to me." And then it happened. It's just and Tony Romo knew exactly what was going to happen. Watch for them to throw it here, and boom, there they throw it right there. Like, why does Tony Romo know what they're going to do and the defensive coordinator slash head coach doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's so. And yeah, you said earlier, if they lost 12-7, yeah, okay, but took the lead with like no time left and lost anyway. And we haven't even discussed the goal line play. We haven't even discussed that yet. So when the Eagles get down to the 1 yard line, what do?
Push push.
The tush push. Everybody knows it's coming. It's a very specific formation. Everybody knows there's no trick play out of that. They run it and they succeed. Even after Jason Kelsey retired, everyone's like, man, I don't think the tush push is going to work. The tush push keeps working. The Bears get down to the 1 yard line and they're running trick plays. They're running. Then they're like, you know what? we're going to hand off to our backup our offensive center and then watch just him fumble the ball. And he wouldn't have, even if he doesn't make it in. He gets tackled before short. Don't don't do anything dumb. Just line up Roshan Johnson behind uh, Doug Kramer and just run it in straight ahead. If they blow it up once, what are the odds that they blow that same play up? I'd run that 4 times. What are the odds that they stop it 4 times? Slim to none. Just run the play and don't do stupid shit. I keep retweeting myself from like week 1 that about how Shane Waldron hurts my brain with his goal line offense. And I just keep reposting it because he keeps doing it. That guy should not be an offensive coordinator. I don't know what the hell happened in Seattle. Did he have was there a kill switch? Uh did the head coach just be like, nope, dumb play, nope, nope, and just kill it? Call something else?
There's a video going around now. Somebody took it from the stands. They showed Tyreek Stevenson mocking the crowd as the play was happening, and then he realized what was going on, and he got over, and the ball went off him, and the Hail Mary was completed. He was mocking the crowd as it started. He had his back turned when the ball was snapped, jawing at the crowd. Am I bad for wanting him benched for that?
You can't though with Gordon. If Gordon is healthy, you can bench him. You can't if Kyler Gordon is still hurt.
Obviously, we have to see what happens this week with that, but
I just I he's a very good corner and his hand fighting is
he had
really
another dumb
good,
penalty too.
but he had a dumb penalty and then he got beat one-on-one by scary Terry McLaurin. And I you know and there's one other thing I want to talk about is Bears fans are so excited that the Bears released Velus Jones this week. And you know what? He deserved it. He did not play well when he had the opportunity. The guy had all the skills to be able to do something and he just couldn't on the field. So, but I don't understand why there's so much hate for Velus Jones, but not for Byron Scott.
I've kind of forgotten about him.
It's he's just that guy shouldn't be on a team. It's when DJ Moore went out, did they bring in him? No, they didn't. They brought up the kick returner. He's not a factor on this team. I don't even know if he was on the active roster. I have no idea. It's just he's disappeared. I don't understand why Bears fans aren't upset about him.
I think because Bears fans forgot that he's here, frankly.
It's, my thing with Keenan Allen, you're like, okay, is we've got our top 2 guys and then Keenan Allen's the third. But after that, if somebody goes down, that depth is terrible. That wide receiver depth is abysmal. Like, you are so top heavy on your wide receivers. I don't trust any of them after the big 3. None of them in the offense. I don't trust a one. And that's bad. That's bad. Like how have you whiffed on that many wide receivers? You look at other teams. You look at the Chiefs. they're in there with their ninth and 10th wide receivers and still winning. And if we have our number one guy and we have two really good other guys behind him, and there's whoa, our offense stops. Or even with all three, our offense doesn't always go. It's just frustrating. And there's a huge degree of coaching. There's a huge degree of our general manager. I'm not happy. I'm not happy.
Matt
We deserve better.
Eberflus claims he practiced that play 100 times.
Which one?
The Hail Mary play.
Well, they should have practiced it 101. If they've been practicing it, why the hell why the hell didn't they have their best jump ball man out there? Why? You you know, I know I'm going to keep harping on this. I know that Roma Dunze is not a defensive back, but who tracks and high points a ball, if jump ball better? DJ Moore probably high points it better, but Roma Dunze is taller and bigger. Put him out there. Be like, go up there, get that ball, and just slam it as hard as you can to the ground. Spike it out of bounds. Make it so nobody can. Don't put 5'9" guys out there when you've got a 6'3" guy out there that you can put out there. So if he practiced that 100 times that way without Roma Dunze, he practiced it 100 times wrong. And that's what if he goes, we practiced that 100 times, then he should have been fired right now. They should have walked out at the podium with a fungo bat and hit him with it and been like, now you got to walk home, dork. You lost the beard privileges. They should shave his beard right there. Make him go back to the bad chin. I'm so upset.
This video is really, I need to get rid of it. This video is really pissing me off.
We might win next week. We should beat the Patriots. The Patriots are not good.
Plus, isn't Drake May hurt now?
He is. So we'll be facing Jacoby Brissett and the Best Friends League, which is funny because I'm loving watching the Aaron Rodgers led Jets just be terrible.
Oh yeah, it's a disaster.
That Robert Saleh was going to fire his best friend / offensive coordinator, who's terrible, was going to demote him or fire him. And Aaron Rodgers cut that off at the pass. I was like, nah, bro, you're fired. Heh. And then they're like, oh, and we got my BFF and Devontae Adams. And then they just proceeded to lose 5 in a row.
Yeah, that's a disaster. They're cooked.
They are so cooked. That was supposed to be a super team. Going into the season, they were like, healthy Aaron Rodgers, that this is going to be the team that beats the Chiefs in the AFC.
Yeah, that's not looking so good.
This team stinks.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And so do we.
I'm just tired, and I don't know what to expect next week. If you're comparing styles, I think very similar quarterbacks, very mobile quarterbacks that have good deep balls. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks really good, but the running attack of Arizona doesn't scare you. James Connors is not the guy he used to be. But I don't know. The Bears offense is just going to have to be better. If we go back to your point of, is Shane Waldron scripting first 15 plays? Because if so, he might be the worst play scripter that's ever been in the NFL.
The Script is the Room by Tommy Wiseau.
Uh, I think Ralph Wiggum could write a better script. Me,
I'm footballing.
me fail football? That's impossible.
I saw him passing, and he ate some dog food.
Uh, I saw the defense, and the defense tried to hit me, but then the defense tried to hit you.
Ralphie, get off the stage, sweetheart.
I football.
Really is like The Simpsons.
Tastes like football.
My football tastes funny.
You bent my quarterback.
My doctor said I wouldn't have so many nosebleeds. I got my finger out of there.
That just reminded me of Aaron Rodgers sitting on the sideline eating his boogers.
Ugh. Now I need to drink more of that. I tried to forget that.
That's the video that I want to build like an algorithm or like some sort of program that every time that Hail Mary gets played or double doink gets played, it just shows me the video of Aaron Rodgers eating boogers on the sideline and it'll laugh. Why is that man number one eating boogers and number two eating boogers on live television?
It's the Booger Show.
Oh my god.
You might as well be eating boogers.
Eating boogers, man.
You know, we wouldn't be talking about this had that Hail Mary. We wouldn't be talking about eating boogers, and yet here we are.
The boogers would have had to come up. They had to come up because Aaron Rodgers ate his boogers on the side.
I suppose.
He ate, and he can't even say he didn't. It's in 8K. That's 8Ks of him going up the nose into the mouth.
No, it's clear as day he did. There's no video replay that we need to consult. It happened.
Ugh. Stupid Bears. But
You would think that after so much crap, like our fortunes would eventually change, right?
No, they don't. They don't change. Nothing changes. Always the same. And that tweet was absolutely correct. We're going to beat Arizona. We're going to beat the Patriots. And then that'll make us, what, 6-3? All right, okay, back in this. And then to play Green Bay and just get mud stomped. And I don't think Green Bay will run up the score on us because I don't think their offense is that good. But
it also might depend on the health of Jordan Love.
I mean, honestly, they're playing better with Malik Willis. But they're going to find a way to beat the Bears. Caleb will throw 2 interceptions to lose it or something stupid. And that's the one thing I can say is Caleb didn't throw any interceptions.
No, he didn't. He didn't turn the ball over. He was missing on a lot of throws early, but he didn't turn the ball over. They gave Caleb Williams the fumble, but let's be real.
Yeah, he gave it to Stonehands.
I mean, it's hard for me to blame a backup lineman. He shouldn't be in that position.
No, he's playing fullback, which is fine. Let him do that. He's doing okay at that. Don't hand him the ball.
That's 100% on Shane Waldron. 100%. Right?
Just don't hand him the ball. Don't try to complicate things.
It's so hard for this team to get a yard. Remember that one they were stopped on where they tried to get it to DJ Moore and they snuffed it out easily?
Yeah, that like I really do think Caleb Williams understands this offense. He goes up there and he reads the defense, what they're trying to do, makes the call. It's just the playbook sucks and the offensive line is terrible.
And it's getting injured too. You saw guys go, you saw Bill Murray go down with an injury. He did not come, he did not saw, he did not kick the ass. He went down with an injury.
Yeah. I I don't know, and I don't know what the extent of anybody's injuries are. Kevin Jenkins went down, and um,
Well, Jones went down. That was early. That was a knee injury.
yeah, and I don't know the extent of it though. Um,
It's got to make you worried though if it's a knee injury.
I mean, Nate Davis is going to be back playing soon.
Yippee. How how much longer can we accept these absurd losses? I mean, not me personally. I've already no longer accepted it, but the Bears as an organization. How can you look at today and last year against the Browns and against the Lions and against the Broncos? Listen, if you had one absurd loss or even two over the last 2 years, you know what? That happens. But the frequency of these happening, how, how can we keep doing this?
I don't know. I just don't know. I'm just tired.
I mean, it felt like such a typical Bears game. Offense sucked, defense kept them in it. There was a window to get in. There was an absolute window. It was open. You went through the window, and then there was an alligator that ate you on the other side of the window. I don't know what else to say. I truly don't know what else to say. Sean, there have been podcasts where you and I were yelling into the microphone, screaming. I don't have the energy to do that anymore. I
God,
don't have the energy.
I agree. I'm just tired. I'm just tired. And you know, you have Philadelphia where they are on the cusp of firing their head coach that brought them to a Super Bowl, and his he's got his offense, cooking this week, and he's still on the hot seat. Our head coach is perfectly safe, and they can't score more than two touchdowns in a game. You know, just imagine, you know, had had Caleb not been sacked at the end of that first half and they got a field goal out of that, and Doug Kramer doesn't fumble, they decide to hand it to Roshan Johnson, they score that touchdown, they win this game. And then you're like, oh, it looks way less like a domination by Washington, because what is it then halftime 9-3, and you're like, okay, they're one play away from taking the lead, and it wouldn't have been like snatching a victory away from the jaws of defeat. Uh it's you stayed in this game and deserved, uh deserved to win, but instead you just, you know you make boneheaded play calls, and they come back to bite you.
And you know what, Sean, like I said earlier, had you just like, had you lost this game like 18-7, we wouldn't be happy. We'd be pretty unhappy, but we wouldn't be devastated. We'd be like, you know what? This was a shitty game. You came out of the bye unprepared. Caleb Williams did not look good. You tried to keep him in the game with your defense, but ultimately you couldn't muster any offense. Shane Waldron's calling looked bad. You had some bad coaching moments where you had some undisciplined play and bad penalties. You had a catch that shouldn't have been a catch, but you didn't challenge for whatever reason. We could have gone all through those things, but to lose like this, that's what sucks the soul out of you. Losing in this fashion. Years ago, I probably would have thrown my chair out the window. As I said at the beginning of the show, I just sat there in stunned silence. I said nothing. I did nothing. I couldn't process how to react. Somewhere in my sick mind, I say all this bad is going to eventually even out and turn into good. But then I remembered, you know what? It took the Cubs a century for that all to even out. Why should I think it'll happen anytime soon? Even with the promise of Caleb Williams. Why should I trust the Bears to hire the right personnel? That ownership ain't changing.
Nope.
And again, like I said, there's no fallback as a sports fan in Chicago. There are so many other things I enjoy in life. Life's pretty good outside of sports. But as a sports fan, there's nothing to fall back on. You know, how many years in the early to mid 2010s, the Bears would lose a game on Sunday, but then you know what? You could watch the Blackhawks win 5-1 a few hours later. Whether they were the defending Stanley Cup champs or en route to a Stanley Cup championship, or at least making the playoffs, you could say, all right, Tays, Kane, Hossa, Sharp, Keith, Seabrook, Crawford, Jalmerson, save me. Save me. We can't look at that right now. Bedard can't carry that whole team on his own. We don't have a Derrick Rose to watch. What do we get to look forward to this offseason for baseball? Oh, hey, guess what? The Cubs are going to sign Walker Buehler. Be a nice little experiment. Is that what we get to look forward to? Do we get to look forward to Jed not prioritizing superstars? Do we get to look forward to the White Sox selling off the only good player they have? Or hiring some second-rate guy as their manager? What do we have to fall on when things go bad with the Bears? Right now, not much. Not much. And it makes you say, you know what? The other things in life are worth enjoying more. I'm happy that I got good friends, good family, that I get to spend time with you every week, that we get to podcast and do what we love. I spend time with friends. I spend time with family. I really like my job. I'm growing in my job. I like the people I work with. I love my social life. I have my health. You have your health. There are so many great things in life. Why should I even bother spending time or money on this garbage in this sports city? I've been saying I wanted to go to the Winter Classic. Do I want to spend $700 minimum to watch this team in the freezing cold? Is it even worth it?
It is not.
At least when many teams were bad when I was a kid, there was always one team that was doing really good. You know, I'll never forget how bad and embarrassing it was to be a Cubs fan in like 2006. At least the Bears made the Super Bowl that year. We had all those years of the Blackhawks and those, in prime years of Derrick Rose. Then Derrick Rose got hurt and the Blackhawks faded away and the Bears were awful. But here are the Cubs making NLCS trips and winning the World Series. There was always something to fall on. Not now. Not now. Not even the Chicago Sky. They're a rebuilding team too, kind of like the Blackhawks, and they got talent as their base. You got Angel Reese on the team, but, they didn't make the playoffs this year. They fired their coach in a weird move. I don't know when they're going to get better. I guess we could watch our Rockford Ice Hogs and these prospects grow, right? Look at some hope for the future there. I don't know, man. Sports is really starting to kill my vibe with just the whole entity. And you go beyond just Chicago sports. You look at the state of sports itself, and we talked about the TV issues. We talked about how expensive the experience of a sports game is now. We have the national media engagement baiting and hot take baiting. Doesn't feel like real analysis half the time.
No, just somebody saying the most terrible thing possible, and everybody reacting to it for uh likes and comments and engagement.
Right. Exactly. And the hypocrisy of sports leagues and the punishing and the wagging of the fingers of players betting on games when they get in bed with gambling entities now. The blatant hypocrisy behind all of that. They have the nerve to do that. It's insulting, frankly. As a modern day sports fan, the intelligence of a modern day sports fan is constantly being insulted. By the way, spend your money. Spend your hard-earned money. Spend $400 to buy tickets to an NFL game. Spend money to subscribe to watch your games. Hey, your favorite player got suspended because he made a few bets on his own time?
Don't spend your money to watch the games. Just put an antenna up and watch it for free.
Buzz, buzz, buzz.
Yeah, get your fancy TV and put an antenna on it in the year 2024. An antenna. Oh my God, it's wild. So I hooked the antenna up, and it's such a novelty. My wife was making fun of me because I was like, "There's just all these random ass channels that show up. Like, there's a station that just plays like two different stations that play like 80s TV shows, and all of the things I'm watching have commercials that are 100% geared towards senior citizens. They're all for like adult diapers and geriatric medicines uh and but cell phones that have giant buttons on them that don't do anything other than dial 911 and just it's just awful. And my wife's like, how does this make you feel watching it, knowing that the commercials are geared towards old people? And I'm like, I'm okay with it. And I'm watching shows from my youth. Uh, all this to watch stupid Blackhawks and stupid Bulls. And I will say this, you know, the Bulls are exactly what I thought they were going to be.
Oh yeah,
They
I didn't have any expectations for them.
they can score. I'm actually watching them proficiently score. Zach LaVine looks good. Like, he is not trying to be like drive to the basket guy every time. He's pull up shoot guy. And Josh Giddey's the drive to the basket guy. Kobe White looks good. Defensively, they're abysmal. They're they are so bad on defense. It's unreal how bad on defense they are. Like, you're like, how are there 5 possessions in a row where there's a wide open guy for a three? Like, how does that happen? They're bad. But Vooch looks more spry than he did last year, where he was very like he was wearing concrete shoes. He looks a little more spry, but I don't worry about this team having scoring droughts. They're so bad defensively. I don't know
Oh
what
yeah.
to say. It is, and they still have the problems where they don't have a rebounder. So
You
that's
had Andre Drummond, but not anymore.
so I, it's just super frustrating. Um, and then the Blackhawks. Uh, Maybe Luke Richardson isn't as good as a head coach as we thought he was when he had no talent at all, because they don't look so good, and the talent is significantly better than it was last year.
Well, it seems like there's still the chemistry just isn't there. It doesn't seem like the chemistry is fully there.
No.
And I
Although I will say Lucas Reichel on the fourth line is looking okay.
you're seeing something there. And you were hoping to at least see a pulse, and you're seeing something there. So Yes, you're right. And frankly, you've said this before. Let's be real. Our goaltending isn't for the future. It's just
No,
not.
it is a placeholder.
It is a placeholder. What's frustrating about the Blackhawks is I feel like they've gotten the chances. They're just not putting the puck in the back of the net. And maybe
There's
that gets better with time, but
there's been some just absolute poor puck luck on some of these. You're like, how did that not go in? God, what game was it the other day where it was just the guy was right there and missed the net. How? Like I and live, I'm like, score. And I'm like, wait, why is the play still going on? And then they show the replay and just missed it. And I'm like, there's just bad luck. The chemistry is not there. Guys, when they try to anticipate, they don't know where everyone else is going to be. They just don't look cohesive. It looks like the bad news bears at the beginning of the season. And that's not to say that they can't get better. Um, Defensively, you're going to get better with some of the younger players coming in and getting experience. And I think on offense, you're going to see guys start to gel and figure out, who works well with who. But there's one thing that I'm concerned about, uh, and I heard, um, I heard this on the radio, and I went back and kind of watched for it. Is the left and right-handed defensemen keep being on the wrong sides,
yeah,
and
you're right.
uh, and that should be easily fixable.
You would think, uh, you would think, right?
You would think so. It was Chelio said it. So you feel like if there's one person that could say that and be like, yeah, he's totally right. Chris Chelios might be one of the dudes. Um, and he was like, yeah, he's like, I might go down and talk to Luke Richardson about that. That's how much it stood out to him. And I didn't notice it, and I went back and I was like, he's right. He, you know, so like I don't know what's going on with Luke Richardson, and he keeps healthy scratching people to send messages. Like, what's going on over there that he's got to send so many messages?
Yeah. I want to know. I don't think the locker room is in necessarily disarray, but there is one thing I do want to say. And I think it reflects on him being his own personal biggest critic, but Bedard is definitely, you can tell he's frustrated. And
Oh yeah, I mean, he smashing the stick the other night.
yeah, and you know what? You can't blame him. And he's, you're not going to go off the deep end and say, oh, he's going to request a trade. He's lost the right, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to say any of that. But you got to imagine all this losing's got to be wearing on him, right? And we know they weren't going to be a cup contender this year by any means, but it would just start winning some games. Some games.
I mean, we had to be realistic. Is even if you gave them like a historic level turnaround, they still probably were not a playoff team.
No, no, of course not. But
So I'm not expecting that, but I need some signs of life. And I'm okay if it takes them a while to, like I said, figure it out and find the pairings, the defensive pairings, and the lines that are working best, and who's going to work best with Bedard and the second line center situation. Like, okay, it might take a little time to figure that out, and maybe you make a trade here too, because um, you've got an embarrassment of riches in your minor league system. Um, you know, make and with draft picks, it's like, okay, make a trade for a young center and work through these things. But by mid-season, we had better see this team significantly better, or Luke Richardson might not be long for this world. I'm not going to kill him there, but they'll fire him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have to evaluate this throughout the entire season. And maybe it does improve throughout the season, and I'm trying to be patient here. I really, really am. So, over the next few months, I think it's going to be important not only as a head coach, but you as an organization have to keep developing in the right direction. The Blackhawks have been abysmal at developing talent from within. So, do you kind of help Kevin Korchinski find his way after some rookie struggles last year? Do you call up Frank Nazar again and you see how he does? The Blackhawks pipeline is quite extensive, but you got to see the production at the NHL level. So, how they keep growing these guys and how this coaching helps move this team forward over the next few months is going to be very, very telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I don't know. I'm just really frustrated. And then, we talked a little Bulls, but baseball, we touched on it earlier. The White Sox are cheaping out on their manager search, which I don't think anybody's surprised. Uh, but maybe a little like I don't know. I shouldn't be surprised that I'm kind of surprised.
Oh, I'm not surprised. Are you surprised? Dig
Well,
down and think about it. Are you
I mean,
surprised?
well, here's the thing. I knew that they were going to cheap out by not going after an established manager. But I was like, are they going to cheap out on going with a non-established one? And apparently I just miss uh underestimated their ability to be cheap.
Never underestimate. My friend, have you seen that meme with the guy putting his hand on the shoulder with the big grin?
No.
I'm gonna text you this picture. You're gonna laugh so hard when I send this to you after I say this. Hold on, let me pull you up here. I can't wait to hear your reaction. You remembered what you just said, right? Like
Yes.
you didn't think it was gonna be that bad. Okay. So this is all I gotta say to you. Check your texts.
Oh, God.
Buddy, Sean, the biggest contract in White Sox history is Andrew Benintendi.
Oh, God. And he's terrible.
Yes, and he is quite bad. Yes.
Uh, and do you think there's any truth at all to Jerry considering selling the White Sox? Or do you think this is just part of his like scheme to try to get an the city to pay for a new stadium?
I mean, I think it's kind of one of those oh, we're in talks and we're thinking about the future. It almost to me felt like a how do I say it? Like double leverage. Jerry's trying to get the leverage that he had back in 1990 when it went down to the 11th hour, and you had Thompson as your governor who wanted to keep the White Sox, which ain't the case now, by the way. And then the guy who he was talking to, the ex-pitcher, wasn't he? Wasn't he a pitcher? He was a former
Yeah.
player.
Yep. Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart.
He played for the I remember him best for playing for Oakland.
Well, he played for Tony La Russa, right?
Yeah.
What do we know about Dave Stewart as a potential owner.
He's tied to Nashville.
Correct. So Dave Stewart gets his kind of, pushing for Nashville type thing. Jerry tries to get his, they're getting serious. They might sell a guy that's going to move them. Oh, we better do something. Guess what? The state ain't budging.
No, and nobody is moving a team from Chicago to Nashville. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody's doing that. Why would you go from the third largest market where you own your, I mean, granted, it's terrible network, but you own your own television network. You go down there, you don't have like a regional sports network. You are relying on, it's a changing financial market in baseball. Like the regional sports networks are dying if they're not already dead in most places. So you're not going to move to a smaller market. It just doesn't make any sense. Like at
Right.
least with when they threatened to go to Florida, it was Florida's flush with, business tax money and tourism money that they were, and they're trying to attract more stuff for tourism. Like, okay, maybe you get that tourist money and tourists to come there, but I still think it's dumb when you build a sports league in a tourist town, because you then eventually when your team starts winning, you're like, oh yeah, how do we draw fans here? Because it's always the out of town people. Like we're seeing that in Vegas. Like, there's such a strong like contingent of the other team's fans that are like, oh yeah, let's have a boys weekend in Vegas. Go see, the Bears play the Raiders. So let's go see the Blackhawks play the Golden Showers. And like, that's what people are doing. And it doesn't make any sense. You're not moving. It doesn't make any sense to move a team out of Chicago to move to Nashville. Like it's dumb. And, you know, maybe Jerry realized that his kids would, it probably is some sort of ploy, but the only part of me is thinking that maybe Jerry realizes that his kids will fumble a sale and he's trying to get that ball rolling to make a sale. Because what is he, almost 90?
He's in his mid to late 80s. I know that.
What is Jerry Reinsdorf age? In February, he will turn 89 years old.
He's that old. I was thinking he was like 86, but yeah, okay.
It'd be
And you know what else?
February.
You know what caught my attention when that rumor came out? A reporter from The Athletic talked about it, right? Like she was the one that came out with the report, and she does very good work. But what are two things that I've noticed? Number one, you didn't hear a word from the stooge, Bob Nightingale.
Yeah, if Bob Nightingale is not the source of the White Sox news, then it is probably a smokescreen.
And not just not Bob Nightingale, but it wasn't Ken Rosenthal. It wasn't John Heyman. It wasn't John Morosi. It wasn't any of those guys. Those big time reporters. And not only that, but that rumor got out there, and then it just kind of everything just fizzled out from it. There was no follow-up, there was nothing. It just kind of happened, and then nothing since. It was like that shooting at the ballpark. Oh yeah, we couldn't have come, inside the ballpark. Oh, but somebody said they brought it in their folds, and then it just kind of went away.
Somebody brought it in their folds.
Well, that was one of the reports. Yes,
I know that was the report.
The gun was in their folds.
I just forgotten all about that, so it makes me laugh because that is the most White Soxian thing that could happen. It
was absurd.
Somebody snuck a gun in their fat rolls to the stadium and then shot themselves. There was so many rumors on that, and that the White Sox just never cleared it up. And you're like, What the heck happened? Like, why can't you just be honest and tell us exactly the story instead of letting the rumor mill? Because that rumor mill, it was a cop and there was a fat person that hit it in their rolls and they shot themselves. And like, what the hell happened? Just tell us the story at this point.
And again, like they didn't conclude like anything publicly. They kind of let it die out. They kind of let it just it was like, oh, just people will forget about it. So that's kind of what happened.
Oh, it's just you add
There
that
have
to
been there have been more shootings at our stadiums than playoff wins the past few years.
you. It's it's one of those stories that goes down in like folklore history, like cutting the sleeves off of the jersey, the climbing through the ducts to get the corked bat, and sneaking a gun in your fat rolls.
It's almost like a fever dream, where like you have to go back and question, was that really actually a thing? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
I just wish I somebody would animate that story and and then just put it on the internet. That would be amazing. I wish I had like that is what AI should be used for, is animating funny stories.
Well, I'm sure maybe something in the dark ethers of the internet might. Actually, I do work in digital marketing and we have experimented with some AI stuff. So maybe I could cook something up for you.
You cook that up of just the great big fat person. I just picture Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, like when the security guards are talking to each other, like yeah, they hit it on their body. Was it a great big fat person?
I know exactly what line you're talking about. That's a great movie, by the way.
Oh my God. You know what's crazy is uh is Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor at the Academy Awards for that movie, and he's only in it for like 17 minutes in the whole movie.
Yeah, you're right.
And he won.
Clarice.
Hello, Clarice. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
We're so insane. We're quoting Hannibal Lecter on this show.
Because a crazy serial cannibal is better than whatever it is that Chicago sports is giving us at this point.
Clarice.
Ugh. Um, but yeah, I mean the I, you know, one thing I am glad is that we didn't have some team sneak into the World Series with like a bargain basement roster where Chris Getz and uh Jed Hoyer are like, oh, that's who we're trying to mimic. There is we got to, you don't have to have a high payroll to, you know. No, it was the two teams that just went out and bought the best players, and uh, those are the teams in the World Series. There's no denying it. So they can't be like, well, you know, look, this team only had a $38 million payroll and they made the World Series. You just got to be smart with your development. And nope, dude, you got to go out and get Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. You've got to be bold when you make those trades. And, because you don't miss those prospects. Like, do you even? I know the Dodgers gave up a haul to get Mookie Betts, but do you even remember who they gave up? I I can't because Mookie Betts has been really good.
I couldn't name one guy they traded to Boston. Not one.
No, and it doesn't matter if those players ended up being good because you got Mookie Betts.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It
It
doesn't freaking matter.
Yeah, if you get is it only matters if your player underperforms. Like, you know what? When you trade for Juan Soto, like, okay, that's fine because Juan Soto is really good, and it doesn't matter if you gave up. freak out about those contracts and you're like, oh my God, these contracts are crazy, is when they're underperforming and you're looking going, man, how do we get out from under this contract? If your dude is hitting 40 home runs and look at Otani. If Otani was terrible this year and you were like, oh my God, I can't believe we paid this dude, better part of $1 billion. Like, but if he's got 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases, you're like, I don't care what they pay him. The dude is really good. That's the thing, is you don't regret big contracts when the player performs up to the level of the contract. You don't regret big trades no matter what you gave up. Like we lament the trade when we traded away Dylan Cease, but we don't give a crap that we gave up Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres has had a long career with the Yankees, but we got a World Series out of it.
Correct.
So like it's if you get what you wanted out of the trade, you don't lament, like you don't regret it. And when you pay a guy a lot of money and he performs well, you don't regret it. And that's what Jed's got to be like. Like, I don't care how many years it is. Like, Bryce Harper got a lot of money. Do you think the Phillies regret that? No. That guy's like the heart and soul of that team.
Exactly.
And the White Sox are just going to be so bad. They're going to get a bargain basement manager and they are going to trade away their best player. They're going to get out from every contract they can. This team might be worse next year, if that's possible.
The one thing that they do have, if you're going to have any sort of silver lining, is I do think some of the young arms will prevent them from losing 121. But they're still not going to be good.
I mean, to lose more games than you did last year would be really hard. But I still don't know.
Pretty much impossible, but
like your pitching this year, like, all right, let's just say that your young pitchers pitch really well next year. Your pitching this year was pretty darn good. I mean, considering your expectations of said pitching, your pitching compared to expectations was far superior. But now, where's your hitting coming from?
Yeah, they they need some bats. More than just one or two or three or four or five or six or seven. You need 8 or 9.
They are not going after any bats because bats cost dollars.
They cost the monies.
They cost monies. Like, it's Jerry's going to show up to free agency and be like, we're going to get better with free agency. But why didn't you get better in free agency? Did you see the prices of free agency?
It costs money. How much do you have? $4.
I went in there with money to spend and nobody wanted to take the contracts that we had. You offered them 3 nickels. These players, they don't deserve more than 3 nickels.
Maybe 3.5, but
David Eckstein used to play for 2 nickels.
Oh, let me talk to you about Eddie Stanky and Branch Rickey.
Do you know how much Babe Ruth made? He got paid $100.
Mentions of World Series wins next year by Cubs and White Sox. 0. Mentions of Eddie Stanky. 1. We've had our owners talk more about Eddie Stanky than winning a World Series.
Eddie Stanky. God. It's so frustrating. Like how do we handle this? Like, I know how you handle it. You're drinking.
Yes.
You've got a drink. You've got a drink in your hand.
I do.
I'm I
You
saw,
know,
I can't remember who tweeted it. Somebody tweeted out during the game. They're like, "Oh, excuse me, real quick. I'm gonna go jump out my window."
you'd have to be more specific because I think I've seen that same tweet by multiple people.
Oh God. Do you remember when Ron Santo at one point was still the Cubs announcer when he was still alive, and he just yelled at one point, "I'm gonna jump out of the window of the booth." And my friend texted me. He goes, "Did did Ron Santo who doesn't have any legs just say he was gonna jump?" I was like,
Oh, I miss Ronnie.
"Yeah, he did." I was like, "Yeah, he did. He said that."
You know, it would be a great edit. You take that Hail Mary and you edit the Ron Santo oh no clip.
Oh God, I miss Ron so much.
14 years now he's been gone. That's hard to believe.
I would just pay so much money to have Harry and Ron in the studio at the same time with Bill Murray. Just the level of sheer meatballness.
Mr. Murray, what kind of plans you have today? And then Bill Murray would say something like just batshit off the walls. And then, Ron would grumble about something that happened on the field. It would have been great. It just, I really wish Ron was alive when they won it all. I really, really do.
Oh, Ron and Harry, even if they weren't announcers, just being able to see that. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
still my favorite Ron Santos story is he was at a like celebrity golf tournament, and somebody said, "Hey Ron, what's your handicap?" And he handed him his fake leg.
oh, that's funny. What a champ. What a champ.
That might be one of the funniest thing anybody's ever done ever.
Yeah.
Or the time there was a Chicago Bear that they brought in the booth, and they somebody said he was a Pro Bowler, and he thought he was a professional bowler, and he kept asking him bowling questions.
Oh, that didn't Mike Murphy do that on the radio too? Murph did on the radio. He's like, it says you're a pro bowler. Do you play the side circuits? He's like, no, that's pro bowler in football. Oh, I think someone gave me some bad information.
It reminds me, I saw this video where this guy, uh, he sat in a library or something with a trans woman, and he's like, Autobot or Decepticon? And she was like, Autobot, they're the good guys, right? He's like, yeah. Why are you asking that? I saw in your profile it said you were a transformer. And she goes, I'm a trans woman, not a transformer.
Oh. And that guy was serious?
No, it was like it was like a Borat type humor thing.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I thought he
Uh,
was serious for a
uh,
second.
I was crying, laughing so hard. Like she was a good sport about it. She laughed, but I was like, wow. I was like,
Risque.
yeah.
Well, this isn't exactly like that joke, but somebody posted a clip the other day commemorating the movie Scary Movie. Have you ever seen Scary Movie?
Oh, I've seen Scary Movie.
Okay. They were referencing the clip where it was the beauty pageant and she was like gonna do like an acting number and then the dude starts getting murdered like behind the stage and she's like yelling and freaking out and everybody thinks she's acting. What a great movie that was.
Maybe I watch that tonight.
You know what? Like I said, I'm not going to work tomorrow. I took it off. I need a good laugh after today. Maybe after we're done, we're recording, I'm gonna go on a little walk and then I'm gonna come home and watch something really funny.
Yeah,
Scary Movie might be a good choice.
yeah, like I want to. I mean, it's spooky season, so I feel like I have to watch like a horror comedy. So maybe I watch Shaun of the Dead or Scary Movie, uh, something that will make me laugh and still be spooky season type movie.
I say go Scary Movie because I also love the scene from Scary Movie when Anna Faris is going up the stairs and like she just gets all these objects she's trying to throw down at Doofy coming at her, and then eventually her grandma's there. She just chucks her grandma down the stairs. And there's like a piano and a bike.
Uh, Doofy. Forgot his name was Doofy.
Yeah, and it ended up being Doofy was the killer. Spoiler alert.
Doofy.
Would you rather have the Bears coaching staff or Doofy as your head coach?
Uh, it, I just see Pam from The Office saying, uh,
They're
she's
the
holding
same picture.
the same picture.
It's a picture of Eberflus and Doofy.
Oh God, I just, I just want a team that's good. Is that too much to ask?
Yes, apparently. If you would have lost a game like this 2 years ago when you were tanking, it would have sucked, but you know,
It would have been what you call a moral victory,
right.
but I, I don't want a moral victory at this point. As I said, I made it very clear that Ryan Poles got a lot of passes because he inherited a a quarterback. He inherited a really bad team that he had to strip down salary constraints and lack of draft capital and build that all back up. And he's done a pretty decent job, but there's been some really big misses that he's had. And I said the clock really starts on him when he brings his own quarterback in. And that was part of my rationale. Like if I was Ryan Poles, that I may have stuck with Justin Fields because it gives you more time to uh to build the roster and then use that draft capital to go after a quarterback later. But I I didn't shit all over taking Justin Fields. I'm sorry, Caleb Williams, because I think Caleb Williams is going to be good. But man, they just have really they've done so many good things to try to help him, but they haven't done the most important things is offensive line and a good tight end. Give him the good tight end, give him the good offensive line. It's how you develop that quarterback. Is we see what happened with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow you got him that great wide receiver, but you gave him a crappy offensive line and he got hurt and he's never been really the same guy since some of those injuries. Like he's not terrible, but he just doesn't look like that guy that was supposed to be one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. And you don't want that to happen to your quarterback. Like I said, goes back to some of the other things. If you spend the number 1 overall pick on a quarterback and he's good, you never forget about what you could have got in the haul. But if he doesn't amount to what you expected him to be, then you start going, man, maybe we should have got like those 3 first rounders and a player for him instead, you know? So it's but that clock starts on Ryan Poles now that he has his quarterback. Starts. You you don't get to draft 2 quarterbacks as a GM unless you were successful in the first one and it was just been a long time. But you don't get to fail at drafting a first round quarterback and then draft the second one. So now Ryan Poles is married to Caleb Williams, and and are they going to give him the opportunity to pick a third head coach? Or sorry, a third offensive coordinator and a second head coach.
Right, it'd be his second head coach because he
Yeah,
hired Eberflus was his
he
first
fired.
hire.
Yeah, sorry. With all of the turnover, I forgot that it was same head coach. Your third offensive coordinator and your second head coach.
Right.
Oh, Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I've said my piece.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, with iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That would grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter /X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears. Oh, when the Bears go bearing down.